Parliament showdown. Who is insulting democracy? Prime Minister Modi's address in Rajya Sabha. Opposition sloganeering. Prime Minister speaks. Opposition stages a walkout.
नारेबाजी, ओ हल्ला और मैदान छोड़ के भाग जाना, यही उनके नसीब में लिखा हुआ।
Who is rattled, government or opposition?
Normal parliamentary practice that the LOP, when he stands up, is allowed to speak. You're shutting out the entire opposition. This is too unfair.
कि अगर हमारी सुनवाई ही नहीं करनी है, पार्लियामेंट्री डेमोक्रेसी का सिस्टम ही ये नहीं मानते हैं, अभी भी उसी अहंकार से चल रहे हैं, तो हमने भी सदन से वॉकआउट किया है।
संपूर्ण विपक्ष ने श्री खरगे के नेतृत्व में वॉकआउट किया सदन में। यहाँ सिर्फ झूठ बोला जा रहा था।
संवेदना विहीन व्यक्ति जब कुछ बोलता है ना, उपहास के नजरिए से उचित नहीं दिखता, इसलिए हमने
Strong or unruly opposition? BJP insists opposition insulting Parliament. Circulate Lok Sabha visuals while Prime Minister spoke. Opposition seen disrupting Prime Minister's speech. Opposition insists government disrespecting constitutional norms.
और मेरी बात सुन रहे नहीं, मैं मिनटों से हाथ उठा रहा हूं। हमारे सभी पार्टी, इंडिया गठबंधन पार्टी पूरी उठ के डिमांड कर रही थी, मांग रही थी, हम ध्यान खींच रहे थे चेयरमैन साहब, ना हमको वो मौका नहीं मिला। मैं फिर प्रधानमंत्री से खुद रिक्वेस्ट किया, एक बार, दो बार, तीन बार, लेकिन उन्होंने भी उसको नकार दिया।
भाषणबाजी बंद करो, बंद करो, बंद करो, विपक्ष का सम्मान करो, सम्मान करो, सम्मान करो।
Sansad face-off. Robust or rowdy opposition this time. And that's exactly what we're going to be debating this time around. And to the point, let's quickly cut across to our panelists this evening. Joining me, J.B. Mathur, Rajya Sabha MP, Congress, R.P. Singh, National Spokesperson, Bharatiya Janata Party. Joining me as well, Rajdeep Sardesai, Consulting Editor, India Today Television. Rajdeep, we followed Parliament very closely. Clearly, with the kind of numbers the opposition has this time, there's something which has changed. What do you make of it? Because at one side, the opposition is calling it robust. Those who side with the opposition are saying that this is what numbers do. On the other hand, the BJP and those who side with the government are saying this is a rowdy opposition, robust or rowdy.
Thanks very much, Preeti. We're, just about a month since the Lok Sabha election verdict came out. And I think both sides, in a way, I think, have slightly misread the verdict. If you look at the Treasury benches, you get a sense that they believe that they've got this third big victory, almost as if they've reached 400 par, when the truth of the matter is the largest party, the BJP, is 240 and is dependent on allies to form a government. On the other hand, the opposition, the Congress has got 99 and the opposition or the India alliance has got 234. But at times you get a sense that that alliance is acting as if they've got 272 and the majority. So I think both sides have to some extent misinterpreted the verdict, which I believe was for greater humility, for more consensus building, to reach out to each other. And I think the primary responsibility is that of the Treasury benches here, Preeti, because remember, Parliament functions when the government really makes the effort to get it to function. The opposition will be there to confront the government. It is for the government to reach out across the aisle, and we really haven't seen that, whether it was the Speaker's election, whether it was the whole Deputy Speaker's election, and now this response to the President's address, walkouts, heckling. None of it really edifies Parliament. So I think it's for the government to make a serious effort, which they haven't so far, to reach out to the opposition, and then for the opposition to meet them more than halfway, because tali do haath se bachti hai.
But Rajdeep, other than just, of course, the government, the Treasury benches coming in and making the House function, don't you also reckon that both need to even out a little? Because it seems either sides are not used to what's really taking place in Parliament. At one end, you have Treasury bench, which hasn't quite seen opposition this belligerent, this robust. On the other hand, the opposition also now coming in with larger numbers, taking that for granted.
Well, I think my worry is that we are entering a phase of extremely polarized politics, where each side simply doesn't recognize the other as a worthy opponent. And it's the personalization of politics, where each party treats the other as an enemy, not a rival, but an enemy, which has to be finished, which has to be destroyed, which has to be in some way undermined, delegitimized. That's what we are seeing. You've got Rahul Gandhi targeting the Prime Minister, questioning whether he's a non-biological leader, in a way questioning his Hinduism, you could argue. And you've got the Prime Minister who accuses Rahul Gandhi of being Balak Buddhi. So you've got two leaders of either side who simply are unwilling to sit across the table and have a reasoned, rational discussion. And sadly, Preeti, the truth is, when Prime Minister Modi was Chief Minister in Gujarat and now as Prime Minister here, he's never really made that effort to reach out to the other side. There have been suspensions in Gujarat Assembly, and we've seen suspensions in the previous Lok Sabha. So I fear the worst. I fear both sides becoming even more confrontational and even more embittered towards each other.
Stay with us, Rajdeep, because also, viewers, to give you an understanding, this is the first time that the Prime Minister or the BJP or the Treasury benches in the last 10 years have seen the kind of numbers of the opposition on the other side. And that's why we see what we see right now. But J.B. Mathur, you were in Rajya Sabha, you're an MP from the Congress. What really went down? Because many would say this was highly unruly and insult of the parliament, insult of democracy. The BJP is also accusing you of the same. While the Prime Minister is speaking, you don't allow him to speak, and then you stage a walkout.
Preeti, rule has to be the same rule for everyone. We cannot have a separate rule book for the opposition and another rule book for the government or the Prime Minister. What we witnessed today in Rajya Sabha, you can see the video of the Rajya Sabha, all the entire opposition, whether it's Congress or India Alliance, every single person and party was carefully listening, very silent and listening to what the Prime Minister of India is speaking. But after a point, when Prime Minister started speaking, which is wrong, which is false, which are lies, the leader of opposition, Mallikarjun Kharge ji, intervened and sought the chair's permission to speak, and that's quite acceptable, that's quite allowed. And but that point of time, there's absolutely no response. We are not allowed. See, you should understand, Mallikarjun Kharge ji is a opposition leader, a very senior leader, very senior parliamentarian. If he has to intervene and if he has to say, it should be allowed. But dignity of the opposition leaders post itself is at stake. And there was, and it was not just Congress, entire opposition stood up in one voice and requested. And Mallikarjun Kharge ji himself, not once, twice, thrice, repeatedly requested, and even requested to the Prime Minister also to give 1 minute. But they were not willing to give even that single minute for a clarification. And what was the clarification? Why clarification? Clarification was required at that point of time itself, because the Prime Minister was raising or making all kinds of allegations that it is we who are against the Constitution, it is they who are the protectors of Constitution, which is not true. We have to look at history. The Mallikarjun Kharge ji had the organizer, had the book in hand, and he wanted to explain it. When the history has shown that has shown that it is the organizer which way back in 1950 very categorically stated that this Constitution is not what we should be having, and this Constitution has nothing Indian about it, and we should have Manusmriti in it. That was so critical of this Constitution and against it, whereas Baba Saheb Ambedkar himself has said that he was surprised, and he is surprised that in spite of others being there, very seniors being there, well well-known people being there. He is made the chairman of the drafting committee, and it is the greatness of Congress party. So who is against constitution? Who was against constitution? Who was
Mr. J.B. Mathur, I'll come to you.
Who was speaking against constitution?
Ms. Mithar, I'll come back to you. Let's limit it right now to what really went down in Parliament, because the BJP as well as the Treasury benches, even the Prime Minister on the floor of the Rajya Sabha has said that you run away and you're insulting the Parliament and insulting the Constitution in your conduct where Parliament was concerned. But RP Singh, with what Ms. Mithar has also just said, there is credence to that. Let's look at the speech of the LOP Lok Sabha, which happened 2 days ago with Rahul Gandhi. When he spoke, he was interjected and allowed to be interjected by the Prime Minister, twice by the Home Minister, once by the Defence Minister, once by the Agriculture Minister. They all got up and interjected, and Rahul Gandhi carried on with his speech. On the other account, the same privilege was not accorded in Rajya Sabha to the Leader of Opposition.
Preeti, I'll appreciate you will give me ample time, because you have two Congress spokesperson, Rajiv Sardesai and the spokesperson of the Congress party
let's
also.
Let's steer clear of... No. Okay, one second.
I mean, the way
RP Singh, let's steer clear of any personal attacks. Let's not... Sir, focus on what the...
Clear. I generally don't do that, but the way Rajiv today fielded for Congress is... it's very clear that he is extended arm of the Congress party now. But coming to the issue...
So you're a BJP spokesperson. Leave alone the job of everybody else. Focus on that, sir. Please answer the question.
No, it's because he did so. So I'm forced to say, and that's within my right also. And come to the issue. Now, talking about when the speech happens, it's up to the speaker to yield or not to yield. There's a parliamentary procedure. So if PM is not yielding and LOP has got a chance to speak earlier, and now PM is answering, so he has a right to answer. And what did they did yesterday when PM was speaking in the parliament? They created ruckus in the Lok Sabha. They were shouting slogans. They came to the well, and then who was instigating them? I mean, we have seen it. There are videos on record where we have seen Rahul Gandhi, the leader of opposition, instigating his member of parliament not to allow the prime minister to speak. And then you're talking about that, we don't want to yield, we don't want to take a step ahead. And as far Rajiv, as far speakers go, they made a choice. They fielded a Dalit, whom they knew that they were going to lose. They fielded Dalit, Mr. K. Suresh, as a candidate. Although they knew that. And that even while walking in the parliament, I remember Mr. Kharge said, we are going to contest election. We are surely going to win the election. But when they came to know that they are people within their India alliance who are not going to vote for them, or who are going to vote for the NDA speaker, Mr. Om Birla. So they walked out and they went for the voice vote. And even then they didn't walk out. They went for the voice vote. They could have said, we are walking out. Sorry, we don't want our speaker to contest. That is the way out. That was an honorable way. But they contested. But coming to the democratic process in this country, and which Prime Minister has withheld the democratic process. The lady was talking about organizer of 1950 or some 50 years back. Let me remind you, 1951, it was the Pandit Nehruji as the first Prime Minister who altered the course of the constitution and curbed the freedom of speech. It was Mrs. Gandhi who brought emergency and altered the complete constitution to the extent she altered the preamble of the constitution. It was Mr. Rajiv Gandhi who wanted to introduce postal bill. Thanks to Gani Jail Singh that he couldn't do that, but he altered the Shabano case. I mean, we remember who misused the power of the parliament and altered the decision of the court as per the norms of the Muslim tenants. But coming to the later part, who used to run the parliament? Who used to run the government? I mean, government was not run by Prime Minister Manmohan Singh from the PMO. It was run by 10 Janpath. We all knew that. Every file used to, there are documents, or there are people who in their books have said on record that every file used to go to 10 Janpath. Not here, give me a second. And later on, we remember that who told the bill which was passed by the cabinet outside in a press conference of Rahul Gandhi. So they have a long history of tweaking with the constitution and then throwing the democracy in the dustbin.
Once again, this debate, like I reminded Ms. Mithar, I will remind Mr. Singh, is not about the Constitution or who's violating the Constitution. It's what went down in the House today. So let me circle back, RP Singh, and ask you that. Allow me. Ask you that same question again. A, you said there are videos on record to suggest that in Lok Sabha, the opposition was basically trying to heckle, and Rahul Gandhi was leading that. You're right, but those videos were not on record. It's actually a breach of parliamentary privilege to circulate those videos because those were made by mobile phones. So number one, those videos are not on record. But yes, they do show that the opposition was trying to heckle while the Prime Minister was speaking. On the other account, RP Singh, I'll ask you that same question again, and I'll bring in Ms. Mehta as well. But the question I ask you, so is it that the Prime Minister, you're right again, it is the virtue of the Speaker to yield or not to yield. The Prime Minister decided not to yield. And that is why, whether the opposition staged a walkout, we'll take that question, and why they did so to Ms. Mehta. But as per parliamentary procedure, the LOP has the right to interject, but that privilege depends on the Speaker, whether he yields or he doesn't. So he chose not to yield, therefore the opposition walked out. Correct, sir?
Yeah, can I make another point here?
Sure.
I brought in this democracy in the constitutional part because the madam said the Congress spokesperson spoke about something about organizer. That's why I had to bring this issue in between. Otherwise, I would have spoken just about yielding and not yielding, and also what was happening in earlier part of the parliament. I mean, Rajiv just now said they suspended all 140. I mean, parliament is for debate, not doing bhangra. Rajiv, I mean, you can't stand up on a table and start doing bhangra.
You're not arguing with Rajdeep, Mr. Singh. Let's right now, circle back and come back to the question. Sir, 1 second. RP Singh, can we focus on what the debate is? Please allow, can we get back to the debate? Let me ask you the question again, and I'll bring in Ms. Mehta. The question is very clear, sir. When the LOP was speaking in Lok Sabha, he was interjected 5 times from the Prime Minister to the Agriculture Minister. I named all of them. And that is parliamentary procedure. He continued. In Rajya Sabha, the Prime Minister did not yield. Therefore, it seems the opposition walked out. Is that correct?
It's up to the person who is speaking whether to yield or not to yield. I mean, Rahul Gandhi could have said, I'm not yielding. I mean, I'm not prepared to accept. He could have stood up and said that I'm not prepared to yield. I'll be on with my theory of Hindu being Hinsak. I mean, he could have continued with that. Hindu Hinsak hai.
All right, okay. I want to bring in Ms. Mehta. Ms. Mehta, now there are videos which we are showing on our television screens. They are not on record. They're actually a breach of parliamentary privilege because this was not part of Sansad television. These images that you see on your television screen, which was the opposition benches in Lok Sabha. This was the time when Rahul Gandhi, who was the LOP in Lok Sabha, is actually instructing his own people to come to the well of the House. Is that correct, Ms. Mehta?
In Lok Sabha, or whether it is Rajya Sabha, there are ways and means of showing our protest. And it is not that we just do it because we have to protest, because the situations demand so we protest. And that is exactly what we did in Rajya Sabha today also. When we are not allowed, when our LOP, leader of opposition, do not get the dignity what he deserves, for the post he deserves, and when there are separate rule books for the opposition and government, we are bound to protest, and we have our own ways and means of showing our protest, and we did that. Now, as you rightly pointed out, when Rahul Gandhi ji speaks in Parliament, Prime Minister can get up once, twice, then Defence Minister can get up, then Amit Shah ji can get up, every single Kiran Rijiju ji can get up. But when Prime Minister speaks in Rajya Sabha, leader of opposition is not given 1 minute. How is it fair? How is it fair? So when we are...
Ms. Mehta, may I interject? Allow me to interject. The point is, I'll come back to the point that you're making, where you say that the opposition has their own way of protesting. Instructing members of the parliament to come into the well of the House is actually an insult of parliament, ma'am. And you know that yourself, you're an esteemed member of Rajya Sabha.
We are not, in no way, Rahul Gandhi ji or Mallikarjun Kharge ji or Congress Party or India Alliance, we do not have an iota of intention to insult the parliament or the parliament procedure. We respect Parliament, we respect Constitution and we respect procedure. But when procedures are not followed, then we have our own ways and means to devise what we think is right to make our voices heard, to get to get what we require to be as part of what should rightfully be given to us.
I'm going to bring in Rajdeep for a
so we cannot be
I'm going to bring in Rajdeep
disputed
for a quick comment, and then I'll cut across back to RP Singh.
When the whole
Ma'am, allow me to go to my colleague. I'll just cut across to our consulting editor, Rajdeep, and we go back to RP Singh. You know, Rajdeep, the fact is that even the likes of Rahul Gandhi, who's clearly a different political animal this time around, need to be a little measured. If, you know, how do you see all of this coming together? Because these visuals, of course, not on record, but clearly do seem to suggest that he was the one who was encouraging his own party members to heckle the Prime Minister or even to come down to the well of the House in protest.
Well, I think certainly Rahul Gandhi, having taken up the post of leader of the opposition, that in itself signifies change. Here is a leader who both in 2014 and 19 was reluctant to take up any significant post in Parliament. I think Rahul Gandhi certainly seems to have a sense of self-confidence and commands, more importantly, the support of the rest of the opposition. But I think Rahul Gandhi also will have to be careful in not misreading the mandate. I think sometimes you can misread the mandate that leaves you to the charge of being arrogant, of being entitled, and disregarding certain parliamentary procedures. I don't think it helps to encourage your flock to enter the well of the House. I think that is seen by some as not acceptable parliamentary practice. I remember Sharad Pawar once telling me that in his entire political career, he had never entered the well of the House. But things have changed, and I guess, as I said, it's been such a bitter campaign that some of that bitterness residue is being seen in what we saw in this parliament session.
All right, I want to just quickly take in closing comments. RP saying, you know, at one end, yes, Rahul Gandhi needed to be a bit measured. He's the LOP. He should have allowed the Prime Minister to speak without heckling, or rather instructing his own party members to come to the well of the House. On the other hand, RP Singh, do you not also accept that maybe the Prime Minister should have allowed the LOP, Rajya Sabha, to stand up for an interjection? Parliament allows that. It is parliamentary procedure.
Well, what happened after what happened yesterday, you're saying that interjection should not be allowed. The way the Ruckus was rated, the way they never allowed the Prime Minister to speak. I mean, they kept chanting slogans on instigation of the Rahul Gandhi. Do you expect someone to give that sort of measured response? I mean, it's not possible. I mean, if you think that you are entitled and then you think you are the person who can be the next Prime Minister, or you will be the Prime Minister this time itself, although you have been voted for to sit in the opposition. But you are not prepared to accept that. You are not prepared to swallow that. And Rajdeep, sorry, he was not a reluctant guy. He knew that he can't be leader of the opposition because numbers are not in their favor. So there was no chance for him to be leader of the opposition.
All right, well, you know, okay, Ms. Mehta, final comments. Both sides, maybe for a functional parliament, you're going to reconvene in about a month's time from now. Would you reckon need to climb down a little, understand what the mandate means for a cohesive, functional democracy?
Of course, we understand the mandate, and that is exactly why we are trying to be the voice of the people. Because people have given us that mandate, people feels that people have given a warning signal to the ruling dispensation, and so we feel that we cannot be sitting silent without raising the issues that matters to the people. As far as the Prime Minister or the ministers or the government is concerned, they are not keen or interested to address issues. Their focus is to attack the opposition. But our concern is to raise the people's voice, and we will continue to do that no matter what. We may be attacked, we may be stopped, we may be suspended, they will do everything. But we are bold, we are courageous, we will face it head on.
Okay. All right, okay, sir, I've run out of time. I apologize. I've completely run out of time. I appreciate all of you for joining us.